Hey guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. This is Toddy One Skip. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks, guys. There's so much of you, and I'm so blessed and so grateful for you, to you. I appreciate you. That's the truth. Guys, I went to go live on Monday night, and unfortunately, I didn't know what I was doing. My deepest apologies. I had somebody from the community, our community here in the chat, go ahead and put down where I was and where you could find the stream. Unfortunately, she didn't have any backdoor access, and she could only do the best she could, which I appreciated immensely. That was holly jolly. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't have a StreamYard account, and we did everything except make sure that I had a StreamYard account. And as you can see on the link that I put up for the stream, the very beginning, where you could see that I'm clearly struggling. So somebody put up that they felt like they were catfished. I don't know if they meant that or not. It's legitimate if you did, but please just allow me to figure this out and how I'm doing it. And I apologize, I really do. But the link is up, and I'm sorry. Anytime I say I'm going to do something, I really am going to do it. If for some reason I can't do it, or I'm not going to be able to do it, what I will do is I will go on the community page and I will tell you what's going on, which I did not do. I thought that Holly could put something up there and it could be seen. But as you guys see, I'm ignorant to this. You know what I'm saying? I'm ignorant to this. So I wanted to, that's a perfect segue for what I want to talk about. So I want to talk about Gypsy Rose, but I also want to talk about this woman, Fancy Macelli, who some of you guys have said you should work with her, you should work with her. Let me explain who I think Fancy Macelli is, and let me explain what I think is going on, because there is a lot of who shot John here and a lot of allegations that are just, to me, people have said this woman seems a little unhinged. To me, this is a woman who's trying to get her credibility back, who feels like everything about her has been stolen and people are twisting her words, and she's just trying to get her credibility back. That's what it seems like to me. I could be wrong. I only know her from hearing her, okay? Yeah, she's pissed off. She's pissed off because what she says is that she spent 7 years investigating this story. And some of you guys are like, yeah, what'd she do? She was a waitress. Yep, she was. She was a waitress who was trying to support herself as an actress, trying to support herself as a writer. I know exactly what that feels like. I've been a waitress before. I spent over 40 years writing, but if you were to see the successes of the writing, you would say, what have you done all? That's what you did in 40 years? But if I show you all of the papers that I've written, all of the scripts that I've written that have gone up for treatments but haven't been picked up, you would say, oh man, you did a lot of work in 40 years. You see the difference? You see the difference, right? So it doesn't matter that this woman was in the background and that's how she got her SAG card, and that she wasn't, an A+ actress. Since when does it matter that somebody goes for their dreams and falls short? She didn't make it not because she didn't try. She did try, and it's not over for her yet. So what she wanted to do with Gypsy was she wanted to write a scripted drama, which would be The Act. Now she's stuck writing a documentary, and I hope she finishes it. And if I were her, I don't know if she has any footage or anything, but I would tell it from her point of view as her story of seeking the truth in the Gypsy Blanchard, and I guess the whole Blanchard family saga, because what she's claiming and what she seems to have receipts about is how mean and nasty Christy Blanchard is. So that's somebody that, befriended her. They were going to do this together, and then just turned around and backstabbed her. Turned around and didn't want to use her anymore. So you can have a falling out with somebody. You have no business talking the way that you talk about somebody's privates. I mean, that's what supposedly Christy did. And there's a bunch of screenshots of this that's going on. Like, how? What?
Real quick, Christy Blanchard, if you have more information about how you thought it was appropriate to have a conversation with 4 other people about my lady parts that you knew was 100% not true, and you have more information of how you sent that to my stalker who used it on lives and in groups and created groups to harass me, my husband, my family, my team, and my company for years, I'd love to see them.
Like, are we in junior high school? That is horrible. And people want to know why this woman's upset. Why is she upset? How would anybody feel about having that spoken about online? When was that? Where is that fair use? Where is that fair play? What is that? That's a bunch of people, in my opinion, that are showing themselves of who they really are.
Had a minor disagreement with someone that I thought was a friend. A minor disagreement. That person decided to go on lives for 5 days now, talk about my hysterectomy, my hair color, and anything else that she could think of, all with Christy Blanchard in her chat.
You know, there's things that Fancy has brought up that I wouldn't know unless I heard her side or heard what she was saying. I didn't have a clue. And you try to figure it out. If it's true that this woman, Dawn, is Nick's girlfriend, Nick Godejohn, that is her girl, that's his girlfriend outside the prison while he's in prison, right? Why is she good friends with Christy Blanchard? There's a bunch of red flags there. I wouldn't want somebody who I feel manipulated me. I wouldn't want my partner around the family that did that to me. I'd want them so far away from that family that it's horrible. And people have said, hey, you know, Fancy can't make up her mind. What's she going to do? I totally understand when you go to look at something and you think it's a certain way, and as you get closer you realize that's not the way it is. And then you feel an obligation because you've told everybody, hey, everything's cool over here. And then you find out everything's not so cool over here, and it doesn't look good over there. So people have said, well, she jumped seats. Now she's a big Nick supporter. No, she's not. She just doesn't feel like Nick was treated fair after she figured everything out and how much he was maybe used and how much he might not have unalived. And there's a lot of things that this woman's talking about because she's pissed off and angry. Okay? So she can't be objective right now telling this story. She can't be because she's angry. And people are coming at her all different ways, claiming she doesn't have a business. Well, technically all you need is an LLC to have a business. Because remember I told you I was in the greeting card business? Those were greeting cards. I didn't need to go into business until I actually started selling them in the jails because they needed a tax number. So I got a little LLC. That's what it is. I had a professional recording studio. The most professional person that I had record in my studio was, the second place winner in the Voice, Beverly McClellan, who used to tour with Steve Vai. And, I mean, she's not here anymore. She's passed on. But she recorded in my studio. If she hadn't have recorded in my studio and you guys don't know who she is and can't look her up, then what is my studio didn't exist? It did exist. You know? So, I mean, you guys check people out. Obviously, you want to check people out, but you don't want to take people on their word, and you don't want to jump on somebody's bandwagon of hate just to jump on a bandwagon of hate. You know? This woman found this story fascinating and wanted to write a screenplay about it and was in on that. And that was an amazing feeling, no doubt in my mind. And the work that she probably put behind it and all was a lot. But as she started uncovering things, she could only do the truth. And what she thought was the truth wasn't the truth. And there are people that are blaming her because what she didn't uncover wasn't what she thought she was going to uncover. That's really not her fault. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Gypsy Blanchard should be running around Okay, she's out of jail, but should she really be running around on social media behaving the way she's behaving? No. I mean, seriously. She threatened somebody. She's talking about things that are totally inappropriate. She doesn't look good. This isn't looking good on her. One minute she's pregnant, the next minute she's not pregnant. She's putting a lot of that stuff out there. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it's always been. You know, there was so much thrown in the muck here that you don't know who's coming or going. Did you guys know for the first 14 years of Gypsy's life that she lived pretty close to her dad? But it's made that, no, every time she kept moving further and further away. Well, we know in 2005, was it, that Hurricane Katrina hit? And from there, she went to Missouri, right? In that house, she stayed in for about 9-10 years. Where was her dad? Fancy and her team have come up with a theory of what happened with Dee Dee and how Dee Dee was taken out. And she believes that Dan might be involved in that. Her theory is believable. Is it true? I don't know. There's a lot to the scene that, I didn't know about. There are tire tracks in the yard. How did Nick get from the hotel to Gypsy's and Dee Dee's house to do the deed? Because nobody's claiming that they took him there. And supposedly Dan, the guy that we've been talking about a little bit, the guy that she met, the 35, 36-year-old man that Gypsy met and ran away with, or ran away to, the guy from Arkansas, that he had, a big truck. There were cigarette butts. There were things at the scene that weren't paid attention to because right away they focused on Nick. And they did, and you saw that in the interrogation when the cop says to Gypsy, "You've been threatened, haven't you? You've been threatened. You've been threatened." So he actually tells her, because in his mind, he's convinced that this sick little person with the high-pitched voice and the frail way has been manipulated, not that she was the manipulator. And when that was decided, there was nobody else to look at.
You know something, and you're afraid. You're scared.
I am afraid, and I am scared because I don't know what's going on.
So has somebody threatened you?
What do you mean threatened?
What do you think a threat is? What do you consider a threat?
I'm gonna kill.
Somebody ever said that to you?
So, listen, I don't think that Nick should be out of jail, but I don't think Gypsy should be out of jail. I think that Nick should be in a place that is helpful to him, not in a prison where there is no rehabilitation. He's not getting out anyway, I understand. But to have one person who planned it put the murder weapon and everything in the hands of the person to do it, and then to write that stuff on Facebook and all of that stuff, and then within 24 hours of doing that horrific deed, or knowing that was done, you're all giddy and happy on Facebook, putting up disgusting videos of what you're going to be having for dinner. Is just, come on. But to just be so remiss about it, like that didn't happen, like there's not a care in the world. You think that that's normal? That behavior alone is normal? That when people hurt somebody, that's their behavior, let alone unalive somebody? Or know that somebody's going to be unalived, to be celebrating like that? How sick do you have to be to write that crap in a Facebook about what you did to that mom?
Hi, honey. eating a brownie. But later he will be eating me.
I mean, that's a real sick individual that now has 8.8 million subscribers, 8.8 million followers. This country isn't in trouble? Come on. That's unbelievable. Guys, I don't think that Fancy's losing her mind. I think that Fancy's pissed off. I think that she can no longer be objective. And I understand that. And she is no longer cool, calm, and collective because people are spreading horrible lies. And she's losing her identity, her credibility, and everything. And she shouldn't be. She shouldn't be. Because I don't see anybody in her family. I don't see anybody in her family that is dealing with stuff today. I'm not saying her past is perfect. She says herself, man, there's problems. There's dysfunction in my own house. Okay? So she's not claiming to be perfect. She's claiming to say this is how things were and this is what I did. And look at the way that I was treated only because I was doing my job and I was doing it honestly and they didn't like that. I tend to believe her more. And if she was in it for the money, if she spent 7 years working, writing, talking, investigating, doing all of this, why shouldn't she get paid for that? Why shouldn't she get paid? Do you guys have a problem with an actress making multi-millions dollars just acting and following what something's written on a page? You don't think the writers should get paid? The writers do the stuff before the actors do their stuff. If there's nothing for them to act, they're not acting. The writer's pretty important, and not because I used to write, but because it's the case. I know the work that goes into it. I know how hard it is to break into the field, but because there's social media now, because there's social media and we all have access to a platform, I honestly would take the story, and the story would no longer be about the DEATH of Dee Dee Blanchard. It would be finding out about the MURDER of Dee Dee Blanchard, and then throw everybody in the mix. That's creating shit for you and the problem, seeking out the truth. I think people would jump on board with that. I would pull away. I would get my head straight. I would work with my team. I would make that documentary that now you have to make because you can't make a scripted drama now, right? Make the documentary on a shoestring budget and put it up on YouTube and charge $10 for everybody to see it. I honestly would do that. She'd get some of her money back. She'd be able to tell her story on a platform the way that she wants to tell her story. And I think that that's something that I would do. I would keep stump for the rest of it. I mean, I really would. And I'd put all my effort into that documentary. And then I would present that to the world. And there's nothing wrong with asking people to pay for your work. So, I mean, that's what I would do. Because I definitely think that the theory has a strong possibility. And that's what it is. It's a theory. But it's a theory based on facts. If the facts that Fancy is talking about are true. People have said, hey, the doctor records look like they're from the 70s and the 80s. Bullshit. Nurses are still writing stuff down. Doctors are still taking notes with their hands on files, and then they're taking that and putting it into the computer by talking into it, transcripting, whatever they're doing. I physically see doctors write shit down. And those are copies of stuff. So if somebody wanted their records, what do you think that they do? I could get my records and print them out. Easy peasy, I can. I could go right into the portal and get my records and print them out. So I think that there are just people that want to believe a certain way, and that there are people that want to know the truth. And the truth is, Gypsy is not innocent of this. And she's not just somebody who was abused. I believe that she wasn't abused by her mom. I believe that a lot, and I said this from the get, after Gypsy got caught in a lie by telling one story 2 ways, I started seeing other things. Once the facade was cracked, I started seeing into it, just like I said. And this girl wasn't abused. I think her mom was the sickly one at the end. She wasn't abused. She wasn't addicted to anything. She didn't need her meds. She knew she didn't need her meds. That's why when she ran away, she didn't take her meds. Just like she didn't take her wheelchair because she didn't need it. So this bullshit of needing it and wanting and that's no. No. This was a con that went bad. This was a con that went bad because somebody got really greedy and wanted to live a life and probably made a pact with their mom at some point and said, yeah, we could do this and we could do this. But then what was going to happen after Gypsy legitimately turned a certain age? She was already supposedly 19, even though she was, 24? So she was always 5 years behind. She knew how old she was because there was a bunch ID cards. You know, somebody tells you how old you are, and then the next year they tell you something different. You don't figure that out. You know how to count. So just taking in somebody's story who we clearly saw lie so many times, why would you believe their story? Because Dee Dee's not here to say that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. We're going to believe Gypsy's side of the story because she's the only one talking? Like, her history of telling the truth is great? I don't think so, guys. Guys, I just wanted to come on here and tell you what I think about, because a lot of you have hit me up about Fancy and what I think about Fancy. And I think she's angry about the way she was treated, but I don't think she's lying. I think she's being almost very hateful now, but I think it's because she was under attack by everybody. And unfairly. Even if she did something wrong, she didn't do something so wrong that somebody gets to talk about her so disgustingly, that she has STDs and shit like that. That's not funny. That's libel. That's slander. That's horrible. And that's not the way people should behave. That's dirty and low class. I don't care what anybody did. That shows more of who that Blanchard family is than it shows of who Fancy is. So guys, I'm still going to tell you to, and I don't know Fancy at all. But like I said, when I had found her channel, she reminded me a lot of me because I was writing and I've done that before where I've been so engrossed in a story. And then, the people that they don't like the way they're being betrayed, but they're being betrayed exactly the way they are. So, I've been there, done that, put a lot of work into stuff and been screwed at the end of it. So I know what that feels like. And I felt like I just needed to jump on here and say, hey, stop giving her so much shit, people. She's got a lot of receipts. If you don't want to believe them, that's fine. But those people that want to know the details, that's where I would go. And I would go also to Nina, the beauty influencer, who speaks to somebody who knows Gypsy very well. So, and people that have just hitting her up about certain things. All right, guys. I want to put up another video about something. So I'm going to try to put that out later. I think that I'm going to be going live again this weekend. I will let you know for sure. I think, guys, and I'll try to get it right this time, where when I say a stream, I'll be streaming from my channel too. All right, guys. So listen, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your day. I so appreciate you. Please communicate in the chat. I'm in the chat. I pay attention to what you guys are saying. You guys have been very kind, and I appreciate that. All right, guys, be better today than you were yesterday, but not half as good as you're going to be tomorrow. Thanks, guys.